We're here with another squatter story today. The chronicles of dealing with squatters in your rental properties, primary residences, vacant houses, whatever situation you're dealing with. Squatters are not easy to get out. They're not easy to eject. The legal process does take months and it's expensive. Attorneys are not cheap. So just sharing some experiences that we've had dealing with squatters as landlords, and hopefully you can tease out some things from the story to help you if you are dealing with squatters yourself. So the topic for today's squatter story chronicles is cash for keys. And what that means, a cash for keys agreement is plain and simple offering cash to try and get the keys back from the squatter. The important thing to note when embarking on this and trying to get the keys is start low and document everything and set specific time frames for cash for keys. If you just make an offer and say, yeah, $1,000, give me the keys, move out sometime next month, squatter, you just need to be really specific with your timeline and your dates. So give them a specific date, a specific price, and timeline, and set, and then also, and put this all in writing, of course, and then also write what happens if they do not take that offer or they do not move out by that time frame. So if it's, an example is move out for $1,000 by June 29th, specifically outline what the property is going to look like and how much, are they leaving stuff there? Did you already have your stuff there? What stuff is going to be left there? You have to outline all that as well. And then have a date, have a time. So, by noon and on June 29th, they'll move out. You'll give them, and then write it all out, and then also include how you're paying them. So you can say, okay, I will pay you $500, once you give me the keys, and then we'll do a walkthrough, and then I'll give you the last $500, the second half of the payment of cash for keys, once we verify that everything that we originally put in writing of how the property should be delivered to us is delivered to us that way. So yeah, the situation that we're dealing with now, we bought a property from a seller. She owned it for 20 years. She's had tenants there for, 5 years. She's had tenants there for a while, but the tenants that are there now were there. One was there for 5 years, one was there for 3 years. She hyped it up. She said, these tenants are great, they pay on time, I can show you their leases, this, that, and the third. And it was a really good deal in terms of us buying the house. It was a triplex, and 2 of the units were filled, 1 of the unit was vacant, and we took her word for it. She wanted to sell it really quickly, so we're all about trying to just make things happen fast, so that we can start the renovation process and things like that. Our goal was to purchase the house and then give the tenants who were on a month-to-month lease that we got copies of 30-day notice once we bought the house, which we did. And then we find out that these tenants have not been paying her rent. Well, they have been paying rent, but they were paying it into an escrow account because there was some conflict between that landlord, the previous owner, and the tenants. So not to get into that, but that was a layer that we didn't find out about until we bought the property and we inherited the tenants, we inherited the lease. So that aside, they already weren't paying her directly, so they didn't start to pay us because they were having issues. They wanted to still fight that battle that they were dealing with her. And then we gave them the 30-day notice and they did not move out. So since then, we have been dealing with these squatters, and we offered them cash for keys twice. 2 different times in writing, 2 different timelines. And this is another tip for cash for keys, is start low, because there's, they might just need a certain amount to move out, or whatever number they have in their head, these squatters. So start low and plan to go bump it up if they, don't move out. And, there's other incentives you can offer. We even offered for them to keep their escrowed rent, like the rent that they owed her, the other landlord, and the rent that they owed us. Now that we've had the property for a while, because they haven't paid us directly with rent, we offered for them to keep that. We offered to pay their relocation costs, their moving costs, and another like, gosh, $2,000 or something like that each. So we were offering quite a bit for cash for keys for the squatters. Unfortunately, still didn't work, so we had to go through, and we are going through the legal proceedings to eject the squatters. But just know that cash for keys, be specific, put everything in writing, have dates, deadlines, timelines, expectations, write everything out, like how the property's gonna look, is there stuff left in the property, and don't pay them everything. Don't pay them until they move out. Don't pay them the day before they're gonna move out, because then they might just not move out. You wanna make sure you have the keys. You wanna make sure you have locks ready to change the locks. And then also make sure, because sometimes what squatters will do, they'll do the cash for keys, they'll get the cash, and then they will break back in through a window or something crazy. So also make sure you batten down the hatches of your property when you're doing cash for keys, a cash for keys agreement with squatters. Make sure they can't break back in, because then that just ruins the whole thing too. So lots of different things to note when dealing with squatters, cash for keys agreements. They do work sometimes. Sometimes it's fairly easy. Sometimes it's just not going to work at all. But it doesn't hurt to try, and it sucks to pay money up front, take cash out of your pocket, but it saves you a lot of time and stress versus hiring a real estate attorney and going through the formal eviction or ejectment process. So hopefully you're able to take some tips from this, and if you ever have to deal with cash for keys or squatters, feel free to reach out. We're pretty specialized in dealing with them, and have had to work through many things, both in San Diego and just San Diego County in California.